Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about the push-up and 4 tips to making sure you're doing it with perfect form every time, making sure you're taking care of your shoulder blades and your rotator cuffs, and giving yourself the best workout possible for your chest, shoulders and arms. So the 4 tips we're going to be going through today are making sure you've got your hands in the right position, making sure your elbows are taking up the load instead of your shoulders, making sure your elbows are going in the correct direction, and finally making sure that your hips stay high and your chest hits the ground first. So let's get started on those now. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is make sure that we've got our hands in the right position when we're doing the push-up. So what we want to make sure is that our hands are wider than shoulder width, with our thumbs pointing straight ahead and our fingers turned out at about 10 degrees. So that will look like the following. So as we go down, our shoulders will then aim down towards our thumbs. Like so. What you want to avoid is having your hands turned in like this. A common exercise that people used to do is the old diamond push-up, where they had their hands in tight like that. What we want to make sure is thumbs pointing straight ahead and the fingers are turned ever so slightly outwards. Once again, hands about an inch wider than your shoulders. Second thing we want to make sure we do is take up the load in our elbows before our shoulder blades move. So a lot of people will allow their shoulder blades to collapse before their elbows have taken up any of the load of our body. So this would be an example of a bad one. So if we start in this position here and our elbows don't move, but our shoulder blades collapse, and you can see I'm getting lower to the floor, my chest is going down, however my elbows haven't moved a millimeter yet. First thing we want to do here is allow our elbows to bend and take up the load of our body. So from this position, bend your elbows and then go down like so. Not like this. Let your elbows take up the load first. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is on the direction of our elbows when we're doing the push-up. So I'll show you this one more from the side. Basically, we want our elbows to come back at a 45-degree angle to our body. Okay, so not out like a T, more like an arrow, 45 degrees. So if I'm in this position here, common mistake that people are making is that their elbows go out to the side like this, whereas what we want them to do is come back at 45 degrees like so. So as we're going down, I alluded to it earlier, get your shoulders to aim down at your thumbs, which will allow your elbows to go back. Like so. The final tip is about keeping your hips up. So as you're going down, you want to have your hips hit the ground after your chest does. So, I'll give you an example. You can see that I've still got my hips about an inch off the floor. Doesn't matter whether you're doing it on your toes or on your knees, it's the same thing. Common mistake a lot of people make is they allow their hips to drop during the movement and they'll end up doing it like this, which means that their hips are sagging, the weight's being taken up in their lower back, and that their chest is left open and not able to go through the full range of motion. So in conclusion, the push-up is a great exercise that you can do to strengthen up your chest, shoulders and arms, but let's just get those 4 tips right. 1, have your hands wider than shoulder width with your thumbs pointing straight ahead. 2, take up the load in your elbows first. Don't allow your shoulder blades to simply collapse like that. 3, allow your elbows to come back at 45 degrees, not like a T, not like this, 45 degrees. And 4 is keep your hips up off the ground, so as you're going down, your hips stay 1 inch off the ground. If you keep those tips in check, you'll make the push-up into a really effective exercise.